Hey, welcome to the Young, Dumb, and In Love podcast, where we talk about building stronger and healthier marriages. I'm Julian.
And I'm Brittany, and we want to thank you for being a part of the conversation.
Hey, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and leave us a review so that we can get more connected with you. Hey, well, welcome back to Young, Dumb, and In Love. If you haven't noticed, we actually have some guests with us today, and we're super excited to have them on. Dr. Bo and Dr. Jamie are in the house talking with us today.
Ooh, that does sound good.
I feel so cool having doctor friends, you know?
I feel so cool having friends.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
You know, you can call me Dr. J if you want to, but there's no...
never going to happen.
Okay.
Maybe. Well, another episode.
That's an episode between me and you.
That's fair. That's fair.
I love it. But hey, today we're going to just be talking about their journey, their marriage, everything that they've gone through, and where they're at today. And if you don't know who they are, when I say doctor, they are chiropractors. They own their own practice in Washington. And the cool thing about them is I've seen them in their life and everything that they do, and they just love people, and they love each other. They love people. They're great parents. We've gotten to hang out with them and have great conversations. Brittany has known Bo their entire life, basically. So,
much, yeah.
But we are excited to talk to you guys just about your marriage and everything that you guys have walked through and where you're at today. So why don't you do this real quick? Can you just give us a quick overview, just the 50,000 foot, this is who we are, this is how long we've been married, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay. All right. So Bo and
faster than I
Jamie, we currently live in Gig Harbor, Washington. We grew up most of all but like 3 years there. Currently, we have a chiropractic practice focused around families, pediatrics, wellness. We live in a town that's very tight-knit, so there's a lot of sports and friends and small town events going on, which is really cool. Grew up, like I said, in Washington, went to Central Washington University. Both went through the health route, and then about 10 days before I was going to start school, Jamie decided instead of being a dietitian or a naturopath, she wanted to do that. So literally 8 or 9 days before we started.
On the whim.
Yeah, literally.
She slides her transcript over, and the guy's like, yeah, you're good. You can start next week. And we're like, oh, okay, here we go.
Guess it's a yes.
And then we got pregnant 3 months later, had a baby in Iowa.
After moving to school.
After moving away,
Iowa.
Yes.
1,900 miles
okay.
away. We didn't know anybody, except
pregnant.
people we went to school with. We get
Well,
pregnant.
in chiropractic school.
Yeah.
Right after we got a
Sounds like
second
a great
dog,
time to do that,
because
right?
our first dog needed a playmate while we were at school. So now we have a new puppy, a cat, a dog, and now we're pregnant
In chiropractic.
in chiropractic school.
Yeah.
And
The hardest
so,
year.
yeah.
Trial
Iowa.
by fire. Trial
Iowa,
by
yeah.
fire. And how long have y'all been married at this point?
Less than a year.
less than a year.
Sounds like a...
We got married in
Wow.
August of 11, and this was all May, June, July of
gosh.
12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of change
And you're
real
still
fast.
here.
Yeah,
And we're
and I was
together.
training for an Ironman at the time. It was just, we just did
Just
literally
decided,
everything
like,
in
what
a year.
else?
Yeah,
We
what
add
else?
to our plate.
Yeah.
Right? Really
And so anyway, we got
strengthens
through that, had another son, excuse me, his name's Mason. So we have 9 and 6-year-old boys, and they're both avid golfers, better than me. Love baseball, sports,
Love
being
it.
outside, sometimes fighting with each other. But yeah, just
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
kind of figuring it out. You know,
Yeah.
setting up our routine and figuring out family life. And
Yeah.
I was going to say every year's been different, but I mean, every day is something that we're learning.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where we are right now, running a family practice, figuring out what to do with life.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, and Jamie, when it comes to the practice, you work with primarily babies.
Yeah, babies and pregnant women are
Awesome.
just light up my life. I think it's just so
Like
cool
so
to be able
itty
to...
bitty baby.
Itty
Like
bitty,
when I watch your
newborn.
Instagram and
Yeah.
you're taking those little babies and you're just looking, just
just
taking
little-
care of them. I'm like,
little
oh my
loves.
gosh,
They
they're
like
so
sleep
cute.
through it.
They do. Most
Yeah.
of the time.
Amazing.
Yeah, like the first
Love
6
it.
weeks,
Crazy.
they just sleep through all adjustments. And yeah,
That's amazing.
It's
love
the
it.
best. It's really magical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay, so
it's been fun.
go back a little. So you go to college together out of high school. And then is that where you guys like start, your relationship starts in college?
Yes.
Okay.
We really didn't know each other in high school.
Even though you went to the same high school.
We went to the same high
It
school.
didn't
Crazy.
really-
All
Okay.
of my
each other.
yeah,
Knew each
yeah,
other's
yeah.
names.
Yeah.
maybe.
All
But-
of my good girlfriends. I was with a boyfriend in high school that like pretty much just
Yeah.
we were attached at the hip. And then, and all of my good
Hopefully
girlfriends
the
hung
side
out.
of the hip.
All my good girlfriends hung out with Bo and all of his friends.
Yeah.
Like, we should have been
Yeah.
in each other's paths. We just never really were until
Yeah.
college.
Yeah.
And then
Crazy.
I just saw him and had a huge crush on him. And he had a girlfriend at the time. So I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, next. And
It didn't take long for me to have a crush on the Subway girl, though.
Yeah, I was,
Subway girl.
I was
Oh,
a
yeah.
sandwich artist.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yes.
true.
Subway,
That's true.
that was what my
I
title
appreciate
was.
you so much.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
It was a great
That's
job.
awesome.
Without
Very
going into
smelly.
details
In
that would
college, okay.
incriminate us, I got a good deal on sandwiches.
Yes.
So just put it that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Sandwiches.
have to take advantage of that.
Yes.
So yeah, started dating
Yeah.
end of her freshman year, end of my sophomore year in college.
Okay.
And
And then
that
you you graduate first then.
He was supposed
Well, I
to.
was supposed
Okay.
to.
In
So-
both fashion, he took a little longer.
Yeah, I did my own thing.
Victory lap.
It's a long story, but I ended up doing 5 years.
I feel like I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
definitely
was
not.
really good at college.
Very good.
So good. He had to
Like
do
not just
one
the
more
classes part, like the whole,
whole
like
experience.
all
Package.
of college.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember some of your videos from college.
Yeah,
Some
for sure.
Pong
Yeah.
videos.
You just gotta scroll
Lots of
way
TikTok.
back.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
not.
Or just don't scroll
You
at all
know,
because
you just-
that's not now. And that's a
Nobody's
long
journey's
time ago.
wrong. It's just their journey.
journey.
You know,
You know, look at where you are now.
all the parts of it are wrong.
So then you graduate.
We graduate.
Graduate,
We moved to
got
Redmond.
Okay.
Yeah, we moved to Redmond in June. Got married in August.
What were you doing in Redmond?
I was a personal trainer at a place
Okay.
called Pro Sports Club. Massive
Yep.
place, super cool.
Awesome.
Working a lot of hours, but making good money at the time, like more money than we'd ever made. We had bonus, we had extra at the end of the month, and we were just like,
What are you
do we
doing
do with
extra?
this? We're rich.
Yeah,
And
so
we,
much money.
then we spent it all probably, you know. Jamie had like 2 or 3 different things she was working on, and it kind of got to a point where I think 3 or 4 days in a row, I would be at work by 5, get home at like 1, go back at 3 or 4, and get home at 7 or 8.
Yeah.
She would go to work at 1, 2 p.m., get home at 1, 2 a.m. And so there was like 4 days where we didn't see each other awake.
Wow.
And we're like, you know what, whatever it is, it's not this. And so
Yeah. Yeah.
that was really fun. It was really our only time of being together with no kids and not in school.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, 'cause
So it
you
was
had
very
kids pretty soon after.
freeing, you
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
we're not really ones to like sit still very long. So
Yeah.
we want to keep going. And
Yeah.
we cut our lease short, paid a penalty to do it, and moved to Iowa without ever going. Never
Yeah.
been probably within 3 states of it. And we just,
I legitimately thought it was Idaho.
thought
So
we
I
were
was
literally
like,
going
not
like
a big
6
deal.
hours
You're
away.
like, it's so easy.
That's fine.
And then you're like,
No, it was like 1,900,
Yeah, 'cause
18,
it's
1,900
far.
miles. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 26 hours
with
if you
no
drive
family,
straight through.
Oh
no
my
friends,
gosh.
No friends.
Nothing.
newly married.
We'd never even been there.
Middle of
Get
nowhere.
yourself
Never been to the
knocked
state.
up.
Gosh.
And Davenport, Iowa is it's beautiful in its own way, but it was not. I mean, we went from Redmond to Davenport,
yes,
which is
if you
like
don't know about Redmond, I mean, Redmond
Crazy.
is like,
Beautiful.
Microsoft pumps money into
gorgeous,
the
love
city
it.
just
so
to
nice,
landscape
so
it. You know,
clean. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
stupid.
Very
So
clean,
yeah.
we pull up and we had leased a place on Craigslist.
Oh my god.
Oh, this just keeps getting
And-
Your
better.
friend told us don't go on that side of town.
He did. He did.
And
We
he
had
did.
2 people tell us don't do it, and we
Bo
did
found,
it.
look at this deal.
Anyways.
It was not a deal. So
Both
after
probably found
figuring
it
it
right
yeah.
when you guys got there too, huh?
They said there's a laundry area, and you walk down steps that are maybe 4.5 feet tall, and then you go into a basement that's like it's a dirt floor. It's not even a concrete floor. And there's these 2 pipes sticking out of the walls for hookups, and that was where the laundry was going to be
But
done.
there was no washer and
was-
dryer.
We go
We were
outside
like,
and
how do
there's
we get them
guys
in here?
looking inside of the back of our open car that we were unloading, and they were not guys you'd want
They
around.
weren't trying to help you unpack.
They were not trying to help us unpack. The next
No,
day
they're
we
trying to
watched
take you. No.
we watched guys
Oh
unloading
my gosh.
speakers out of a trunk.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
Like new.
And you
like
lived there the whole
multiple.
time you guys were in school?
No.
No,
Okay.
we left that day. We spent
you
one
did?
night. Jamie cried,
I cried
all
a little
night.
bit.
Yeah,
I
she
tried
was-
to hide it in the bathroom.
And then we ended up
Caught
finding
me.
a place. But yeah, that was how we got
Oh,
welcomed
my gosh.
to our first married independent journey.
But then we found a great house. Yeah, that Max was born.
We did. Our first son was born in there.
Yeah.
Got to paint the
Yeah.
nursery. Had a yard. It ended up being really good. But
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
visit the place you're gonna live before
Yeah.
you go.
Before you
really
commit.
good.
Yeah.
Yep. You learn.
Try it
Yep.
before you buy it. You know, just once.
So then you're in school there for is it
3.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And we moved home in 15.
Yep.
Jamie was pregnant probably about halfway through her pregnancy with our second son.
When we graduated.
When we graduated, yeah.
Goodness. So Jamie, you pretty much were pregnant, had a newborn and a baby, and then got pregnant again in chiropractic school. You are literally.
Yeah, she's a lot cooler than me. Like way
she's
cooler.
a saint.
I mean, I didn't do that by myself. Amazing.
She's a saint.
No, I mean obviously, but I mean that's a lot.
But it's
that
a
is
lot.
like a lot.
It's a lot too. But
it
it's a lot that pulls service only, right? There's not a lot of back to her, which I think kind of started our identity issues of we've got all this stuff, right? Where let's dive in, and it feels great when you're a new parent, especially every single thing your kid does is the best thing on earth.
It's
and it's
amazing.
worth staying up late.
Oh, absolutely.
99% of the time, you're happy to do all the stuff you have to do.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, you kind of take a step back, and you're like, well, what did I do for me? Not even selfishly, just to get myself back to capacity to serve like I need to serve, right? The restoration. And so that was kind of segued into what we had been talking about before is how quick it can switch from a team game to resentful or individualized a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so that was, I think, something. Jamie was a fantastic mom, is a fantastic mom.
Yes, she is.
But it really segregated our relationship. And, they always say never stop dating. And that's something we do a lot more of now. But we just kind of turned into business partners, roommates, and co-parenters in the same house.
Yeah.
And not even negative, it was just kind of
just happened.
Well, you almost have to. I mean, sometimes it almost feels like that's the only way to survive is if you almost go into
For sure.
just autopilot. We are parents. We own this business, and so again, that's super unique. You went to chiropractic school together, then you move home to Washington, and you start a business together.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? You move back in 2015, you said?
2015.
Oh, yeah.
You're pregnant with Mason.
Pregnant.
Have Max, who's what? Is he 3 at this time?
Almost.
2.5.
2, okay.
Yeah.
And then you are going to start a practice.
It was interesting.
We started off just working at an office that we thought we were going to buy. And that basically fell through. And our whole deal for making our income while we were working at that office basically fell through.
We quit in October. And Jamie was due in November, and we had no job, no money. We had just rented a house.
Look at you guys.
And we were like,
yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And I actually got a phone call on Jamie's birthday from the time, what seemed, I'm sitting there talking about how we don't know what we're going to do, and we're going to try to start a practice. We had no money. So we couldn't just start. And so we thought. So we're sitting there, and the phone rings, and this guy goes, "Hi, my name's Dr. Philip Chris, and I'm wondering if you would like a job."
You're like, "Excuse me, hold on 1 second. Can you call me back again?" And just make sure.
Like,
what?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, yes, but who are you?
Why do you want to give me
a job?
This
What do I
guy,
have to do?
this guy gave me a job, and I told
my
him I was up
gosh.
front. I said, "Look, we are trying to buy a practice, and my goal is to probably not stay here." And he wanted somebody to take over long term.
Yeah.
And this is why it's always good we were talking about living in integrity and just being you, the honest you, because he looked at me and he goes, "You know what? I like you. I don't care if it works out or not. Let's stay, or let's have you stay." So he employed us, and that supported our family for 4 or 5 months. And he basically let me choose my end date. He would video record our adjustments, and we'd go over game film together. I mean, he invested in me.
So
it was
cool.
It was totally
That's
a
such a
Holy
God
Spirit
thing.
intervention,
Oh, absolutely.
man.
That is awesome.
Taught me a ton.
I love that.
So that was pretty cool. So we got a job.
It's right in the nick of time. You're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, thank you, Jesus."
So true. So
That's
true.
awesome.
Then
I
we
love
found
that.
a practice, bought a practice in Gig Harbor, which was really awesome. It's been awesome. We moved it 3.5 years ago to a bigger space. So we went from 1,300 to 4,000 square feet, which is cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, it's just been, I mean, every year we've had either a major crisis or a major project. And they're equally stressful, but they feel different, right? Joy is still stress on the body. It's just good, right? And so it's taxing, I should say. It's energy consuming. And so it's just been training. You sit there and you're like, man, next year's going to be great when we don't have anything to do. But really, God's like, you idiot, I was training you for the bigger. It's going to get bigger.
Yeah, you just set yourself up for that one, buddy.
But that, again, going back to where we got lost is you're remodeling. We have the biggest snowstorm in Seattle in 100 years or 97 years.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And so I had found a seminar series I like to go to, and it just the way it taught adjustments, I'd never connected with it before. It was just unreal to me. And this is where I went, and I came home, and I'm super stoked, and Jamie stayed home with the boys. and that sort of started this where I started feeling her like almost left out. Like there was part of her that was, she really wanted to be happy for me, and she asked about it. How was it? But her like
kind of sense
her tone wasn't where I thought it would be.
Right.
The words were right. The energy was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sure she has to. I'm not trying to be bad and bash on you or anything, but
she's like, oh, you're right, amen.
and so it kind of made me feel weird. And it got,
At least we know you know.
Say that again.
Yeah, it just got worse because we stopped wanting to deal with it, and we just went away. And I think a lot of it personally was there was a lot of myself and my vulnerabilities being exposed that I didn't want to address.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to go, look at me, look what I'm doing, look what I'm doing. I want to show you. So you can stop showing me those things that I don't want to work on yet. Which turned me into like a colder person than I've ever been. It was a really weird season in my life. And then a month after our poo was hitting the fan, COVID became COVID. So this is like January, February of 2020.
Deal with it.
Then March hits. So we're dealing with the biggest marriage crisis ever. Just feeling straight up like
icky.
Like I look at her and she's beautiful. I know she's beautiful. I know that I care about her, but I didn't have that like want, that fire to go get it.
For sure.
Because of my own things I wasn't dealing with. And so it was just like, and then COVID happened, which created a business crisis, which created some unity between us, but also drove us further apart from having time to deal with what really needed to be dealt
marriage.
with.
Right. It's like we have a business and that's like on fire.
100%.
Business too, but we can kind of,
and if I could go back and give, like if I could be my own business and life coach now, looking back, talking to me on a FaceTime call, I would say, lock your business doors.
That's so good.
And not because of COVID, but because you are not right at home.
Wow. That's so good.
And
no, that is so good.
If you're not right at home, you're not right anywhere. And it's like, it's always top down. And so I think that would be my biggest thing is you have to be here before you can go out anywhere, no matter how important it feels.
So good.
Oh, that is really good. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, follow up.
Yeah, go ahead now, Jamie.
Wow.
Yeah, now. I think that is so good. And I can give you guys a second to breathe. I think one thing that gets missed often is that we don't take care of what's at home. And then we expect the things outside the home to go well.
Yeah.
It's
so true.
You know, business should be a spiritual pursuit. Our marriages are a spiritual pursuit. And if we're not doing that, it's going to struggle, period. Your business, your marriage. And so Jamie, obviously you're the other one in that relationship. What is your perspective from your side? What did it feel like? I mean, COVID crisis, marriage crisis.
Well, and I think kind of really when you started talking about that resentment starting to build.
Yeah.
When even with, you know, getting into practice and working, and I think my identity kind of crisis started to happen as like, I knew I wanted to be a mom, but I also knew that I really wanted to be a part of this big thing that we were doing. And like, I think like definitely some of it was a little competitive. I mean, Bo and I, we like joked around a long time ago, like we had to stop playing board games together because it was just there's so much fire.
We quit that a long time ago.
Like a game of cornhole in college just about ended it.
Well, we've been there.
There's, you know, I had to drop. Didn't realize that I needed to drop a lot of that. Like, okay, my role is changing. Doesn't mean that it's bad, but I definitely held a lot of that against him for a long time and just had no idea that I was feeling that way and building it up and pushing him away in that too.
When you didn't talk about it and I wasn't giving you an arena to want to talk about it, and you just focus more inward than on each other at that point.
So what was like the, you know, so obviously you're not in that place now. It's 2.5 years ago. What was like like a come to Jesus moment, I guess you would say?
There was a few of them. I think, unfortunately, like, sometimes we both had to just do some healing, you know, and it just took different, we went on different paths. Like you said, like, COVID forced us to, you know, want to focus on healing a lot of those things, but there was other things that just didn't allow that to happen. So I feel like, you know, it was like peeling away the onion layers was really what had to happen. It was not like one thing. I think it was both of us really finally coming to the point of like bringing Christ back in it and wanting to live our lives from, like, I joked around like, oh, I should actually probably live like a biblical wife. Like I should probably like, try to do that for my husband, right? Like I've never, so I had a lot of like maturing to do, I think, with myself and who I was in a relationship and realizing that it's not just me in it, and there's
so true.
Yeah,
I had a moment. I had one single moment, and it was with my buddy Dustin, who's the pastor at our church, and he goes, he's listening to me. He's an awesome listener, and he's really good at discerning just kind of what to give you. And he goes, are you being someone that she can love? And I was like, well, no, because she's not loving me. And I'm a be, do, have kind of guy at work. I'm like, you can't wait till you have what you want. You got to be that man or that woman. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, it's not going to feel like you want to. And it's almost probably going to frustrate you a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
For sure.
He goes, but if you think there's any part of you that doesn't want to walk away, any part, even 1%, then you have to try to provide the environment for her to love you again.
That's right.
And so it's like, if you want plants, put them in the right environment and give them the right things and wait and see what happens. And so I think, again, this is me just looking at like the lack of humility that I had and the amount of pride that I was walking with. And so much so that I didn't see it as pride. I saw it as my needs aren't met. Right. And it just feels so okay to say that, but really you're just not meeting anybody else's either.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was my moment, was you have to provide the environment for her to love you, to see if it is there. And I wasn't for a long time.
Yeah.
She's like,
She's like, yeah, seriously.
No, I think it's cool because a lot of, that point where you both felt like, oh, we're not feeling it right now. A lot of people would have just been done.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think even like, I know, like, Bo and I come from families that are not, like, our parents were both divorced, so a lot of times
got all kinds of blending.
Oh, yeah, we got there's this, like, we're just done, but to the testimony that you're still here, you're still walking, and now your marriage is probably better than it's ever been.
1000%.
Your future looks brighter than it ever did, but it took that moment of, like, this is, like, make or break time. You have 2 boys, and I think it's easy to just focus so much on, like, how you feel, you forget the big picture. These 2 boys that are looking to their dad and their mom.
It's like feel versus real, right?
Yeah. And we get so caught in the feel. We're like,
we do.
I feel like this, when it's like, well, sometimes your feelings suck.
You
don't get to listen to your feelings.
And there's secondary or tertiary.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what does the word say? What does God expect me to do? Yes.
Yeah, and sometimes our feelings that's what brings out the selfishness inside of us, right? Because I don't feel, I feel. It's the first word you say before feel is I, right? You're always pointing inward rather than outward.
Tweet that. I feel, that's so true.
But you feel, conversations you have with couples or people, a lot of times they'll say, I feel. And I'm like, okay, but what does she feel? What does he feel? Like, are you thinking about the way they feel? And when you can focus on the other person and what they're going through first, when you do it for each other, forget it. Like, you guys are going to take care of each other. Right. Yeah. And so you guys went through that, and you had your moment, and you have a great marriage now. But what are some things that you implement in your life today that helps you continue on this path every single day? Because God knows, we all wake up sometimes and we look at our spouse and we go,
you're still here?
Get away from me.
I've had enough today.
Go your way, I'll go my way. We're going to do great.
Yeah,
do you want to play golf with your
When she says I should go play golf, I'm like,
what's Ben doing today?
No, but I'll just leave. I get it. Yeah.
Do you want to go to South car for me?
So what do you do that helps you wake up every day and continue down this path of having a good marriage?
Yeah.
One thing that I kind of stole from our men's group I go to on Thursday mornings is at the end, there's just a table and it's prayer requests or praise reports put out. And then in that moment, someone says, I'll grab that. And then we all sit there and actually pray about it. So it's not like, I'll take that with me this week. You know?
And then you're like, I'm not praying.
And I don't know why, but for some reason I am most terrified. Not like, ooh, I wonder if I'm nervous. Like, I am silently still when it comes to praying out loud with my wife. I'm so embarrassed about it, which is weird because I love to talk. I'll get on stages with, I don't know, a million people. I don't care.
But then it's like just that,
But with
I think
just the intimacy of the one who knows
men
me, right?
struggle with that. I think so many.
No, I struggled with it
100%
for a long time.
And so what helped me was I said, instead of me just trying to think of what I should say, what if you just give me your prayer request and I give you mine, and we try to keep it centered around the relationship, or at least around our roles together and not just like something outside of us. And we just, in that moment, just lift it up out loud. And it's really helped just be comfortable. Yeah. I guess 3-4 years ago, I never prayed out loud in front of anybody. So it's just like, you're being held back by something stupid. And so that gave me a structure to get through that.
That's cool.
That's been huge, I think, for us to break down that barrier, because I think when you can especially show God that, hey, I'm cool to do these things that we're scared, but I'm trusting you that it's not that scary.
Yeah.
And it was so small, but it's a big step towards something, right?
Yeah.
That's huge. What about you, Jamie?
I think, again, just like bringing God back into it. And I don't even know if you know this, but for the last probably year, every morning when I wake up, I just have it took a while, like talk about like not feeling that, not doing what you feel, right? But I had to kind of force myself to just feel a little bit more gratitude for just him and in our relationship. And so I kind of just started,
I love that.
That was my morning gratitude prayer. And now that's kind of what I do every single morning. And I feel like I know that's not like doing really much, but I feel like just
I think
bringing him into it.
That literally starts the foundation of your whole day.
But I think too,
that's
we
awesome.
both have separate times where we devote time for reading, devotionals, prayers, whatever. And I think we do bring that together. But again, like, God is our number one priority over each other. And that hadn't been that way before. We would have probably written down the other person and then faith or something. And I think, again, going top down, doing it the right way, it's not very complicated. It's just hard work. Right. And when you just do the hard work each day, it becomes easier and more efficient. I don't know. It's just...
Well, it's like one step at a time.
Yep.
And instead of like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so hard. It's like, nope, today I'm going to do this. And then tomorrow is tomorrow. We'll do a little with that tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, you said it right there too. Just doing one step at a time, like one day at a time, one thing at a time. Like, a lot of people don't realize that anything worth building, making, if you're a creator, like me, if you're going to create something, if you're going to paint, if you're going to do anything, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes showing up. If you want to have a good, health in your body, you got to show up, you got to actually work out, you actually have to eat right. Like, it's the same thing with our marriages. Like, instead of just showing up every single day, so many people just quit because it doesn't feel right or it doesn't feel good. That's normal. Like, I think it's very normal in every relationship. How many times were you mad at your parents growing up, and did you disown them as your parents? Most likely not. Some have, but that's not a normal thing. What should be normal in our marriages is that we show up every single day, and we just look at each other in the eyes and like, hey, I might not like you right now, but I still love you, and we're going to work on this together, and we're going to push forward. And that conversation and being honest with each other is like, man, if people would just capture having conversation, talking to each other. Like, I like what you said, ask for your prayer requests for each other. Like, don't think about myself, I'm going to think about her first, and vice versa. When you do that, I feel like you're putting one brick on top of another and just building a stronger foundation every single day.
Right. And remembering that, like, when we have those bad days and then our spouse might do something where we go, see, I'm already having a bad day. Now this is on top of it. Like, do you think they're not going through something too?
Yeah.
Like,
it doesn't really help.
We aren't the only ones with stuff going on. You're not, it's like they are probably just dealing with it better than you. And now you're going to like, so it's remembering too that like, I'm not unique in my struggle. And it's okay to struggle, just never struggle by yourself, right? One of my best friends says that all the time. Don't ever struggle alone, because that's, a master plan of your brain's going to go into bad places when it's by itself. It never creates good hypothetical situations. Usually.
I think, and I know we have to wrap up, but the one thing that I caught that I want to make sure everyone catches is that both of you had a moment where you were like, I need to be who I need to be, and whether my spouse chooses to change or not, I need to be a spouse worth loving. I need to be the wife, that needs to be, walking biblically and whatever my role is, and I need to be a husband worth loving. And I think a lot of times we're like, well, as soon as Julian changes, then I will be a nicer wife. But it's like, no, I need to be the best wife I can be, and then what he chooses to do is really between him and Jesus. And the Holy Spirit can deal with him. And I always say, like, I'm always like, duck and let the Holy Spirit get him. And that was like something I learned at a Bible study 15 years ago. So when we were newly married, and it was Beth Moore's study, and she was like, listen, sometimes you're going to have to duck and let the Holy Spirit get them. Like, you can't always be in charge of what your spouse does. And I know sometimes I will be like,
waiting.
She physically does it too. She'll be like,
But I think that's so good. You both took responsibility for yourselves and your relationship with the Lord, and then just like see what he did, which is so faithful. And when we sometimes go, you know what? I need to do more.
Yeah.
I need to be better. And that's not always how it is. But I think a lot of times when we start to look inward, like, hey, where am I maybe dropping the ball? Right. And my spouse is actually not. I'm the one doing that. It's a little humbling. Well, a lot humbling.
Yeah, a lot.
You know. But.
Well, and energy is attractive, right? So if you decide, I'm going to do what I need to do, and I'm going to be joyful and loving, and I'm going to smile through as much pain as I can, people won't stay negative around that. They will leave or they will adapt.
Yeah. That's so.
That's it.
That's
like
so good.
So true.
And it's not going to be overnight, but it won't take long.
No.
We do that at
So
work all the
good.
time. When like this just happened, we started cleaning some things up, and stuff and processes just either like fall away that we didn't need, or they come in at the right time, and it's just the law of attraction in many ways is it is that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So true. So true. Well, I think today was super good. I think here's the thing. At the end of the day, there's a lot of people who went through 2020, who went through troubles in their marriages, and especially in 2020. But the thing is that I want people to really hear today is that you guys didn't give up. You saw it. You saw what was going on. You took the time to figure it out. You worked on yourselves.
Right.
But then you worked together on each other. And that's what marriage is supposed to be. Marriage is supposed to be teamwork. It's supposed to be something that we do together. And so if you're out there and you're struggling, and this is something that we're just not vibing, we are just coexisting. We are just raising kids and living in a house. And man, just take a step back. He even said, I wish I would have shut the doors of our business just so I can focus. That's a big deal,
I really
especially in
mean that.
2020. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
But if you were willing to go that far to save your marriage, I think we should all be willing to go that far to save our marriages, because we said yes, we said I do, we said this is our life together. And so if you're out there and you're just thinking, man, I want to give up, I don't really want this anymore, I'm tired of fighting or whatever it is, I think you both need to take a step back, look at the room, examine each other, look at yourself on the inside and say, hey, we can do this. Let's shut out the things in our lives that are distracting us, that are taking us away from each other, and let's start putting more focus into our marriage and working on this together. And when you can put that kind of effort in, the chances of you surviving in your marriage are going to go up so much, just because of effort, just because of showing up every single day. And so if that's you, man, show up.
Pray for that next step. Don't pray for the result. Pray for your next step.
And it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to wake up one morning and go, we're perfect. Everything's great. You might feel like that for a second, but it's not the truth. It's not
and
the
if
truth.
that does happen, let us know. Because we'd love to put you right here.
We need that.
So true. But show up every single day. Make sure you work at it every single day with each other. And remember, you're a team. This is a team thing. So work together every single day. But thank you guys so much for being a part and sharing your story.
Fun.
Miss you.
I know.
Good to be here.
Follow Bo and Jamie, Dr. Bo and Dr. Jamie.
Yes.
They have so many exciting things coming up in their life.
We've been encouraging them to get on TikTok and Instagram.
I put 3 TikToks up this week on vacation.
I haven't downloaded the app yet, so
that's okay. I don't have TikTok
But
on my phone.
I love nothing more than
And we have a
following
TikTok.
doctors who just
Love.
snap, crackle, pop necks.
It's pretty fun. And you're one of them.
I'm one of them, yes. It's
He's
just
very proud of that.
love it.
I'm like, all you
I
did was
watch
sit
it. I'm
there.
like, guys,
He's
look,
really
listen
proud
to
of
that.
it. He sent it in both our family
I
texts.
did.
That's
My
funny.
I'm
parents
like, guys,
and his
listen to
parents.
this.
Like, it's listen to my body. Anyway.
Amazing. But thank you guys so much. Make sure you do us a favor. Leave a review. We want to hear from you and what you have to say. Any questions that you have. We've been getting tons of questions, and we've even, the last 2 podcasts that we released were all about someone's question that they asked. So we just want to answer your questions that you have. And if you haven't already, subscribe on YouTube and make sure you're just a part of this community and more than just listening. We want to hear from you. But thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.